The title of this video, they found Earth abandoned, then the stars began dying. In a distant future, a starship crew returns to Earth only to find it hauntingly abandoned and eerily preserved. As they uncover a dormant beacon in ancient archives, they learn humanity once fled not war, but a cosmic force drawn by observation itself. Stars are vanishing, forgotten by the universe. Earth was hidden, its memory sealed to protect what remained. Now reawakened, the crew must decide, vanish again or risk being seen. As reality unravels, one star briefly returns, a warning or invitation. In the end, they choose silence, sealing Earth from memory and embracing the dark, not as death but survival. The stars had not changed, or so they thought. When the Artemis ascendancy emerged from a wormhole and Earth came into view, it was not the blue marble recorded in the archives, nor the vibrant cradle of humankind passed down in myth and memory. It was pale, ghostly, shrouded in wisps of atmosphere that barely clung to its shell, as though the planet itself had exhaled and never inhaled again. Commander Sarah Miles stood at the viewport in silence, arms folded tight against her chest, not in defiance but control. Her dark eyes absorbed the lifeless terrain below. Fossilized cities overrun with rust-colored flora, coastlines that had receded like memory, and the skeletal remains of orbital debris frozen mid-fall in the absence of drag. Earth had died quietly. Scans show no heat signatures, Nova reported, her voice smooth, almost reverent. No EM chatter. No artificial satellites in active orbit. Life negligible. Dr. Elias Rowe adjusted his glasses. A needless habit, given their augmented interface. And yet, no signs of warfare, impact craters, or radiation. Nothing that explains an abandonment on this scale. Just absence, Sarah murmured. Like we were never here. Behind them, the crew busied themselves in mechanical rituals, securing docking clamps, calibrating descent thrusters, but their movements were muted, cautious. The silence outside had seeped into them. Sarah turned from the viewport. Prepare for surface recon. Nova plotted descent path to what used to be Central North America. We'll land near a major urban zone, somewhere dense. If there's data, we'll find it there. Elias tilted his head, hesitant. We should be careful. Cultural records suggest Earth wasn't abandoned. It was left behind. Same thing, Sarah said flatly. Dead is dead. No, Elias countered, voice softer. Leaving something behind implies choice, purpose, maybe even fear. They didn't speak during descent. As the shuttle cut through the atmosphere, a ghostly aurora trailed them, wisps of ionized dust clinging to the hull like fingers. Below, the remnants of what once was New York emerged. Skyscrapers swallowed by ivy and fungal bloom. Great bridges collapsed into tides, the bones of civilization held together by silence and rot. They land in the husk of a stadium, its dome shattered, seats blanketed in moss. Sarah led the team across cracked concrete toward a structure that once bore government sigils. Inside, everything was dust, no looters, no damage, just stillness. Nothing feels right, Elias whispered. He knelt by a terminal coated in time, brushing it clean. This tech is centuries obsolete, but not degraded. No data scarring. Power cells are inert but whole. They didn't run, Sarah said. They shut everything off. As if in reply, a soft hum broke the silence. The team froze. Lights flickered along the base of a central tower in the room. A faint pulse blinked. On, off, on, steady and slow. Nova moved forward without prompting. It's not a beacon, she said. It's a delay loop, running endlessly on a buried generator. Elias crouched, fingers brushing a wire barely visible beneath layers of ash and detritus. It's coded. A language, maybe, no, a signal format. Old, pre-universal comm standard. Give me a moment. The pulse quickened. Then, without sound, the tower projected an image into the air, a static hologram of Earth, but wrong, fractured, subtly warped at the poles. And, orbiting it, a ring of dark shapes, impossible to focus on, shadow without source. The message played in ancient Terran dialect. They are watching. We look too long. We burn too bright. And now the stars will die. The projection collapsed. No one moved. Sarah exhaled, long and slow. What was that? Elias stood slowly, his voice dry. A warning, I think, or a confession. Nova tilted her head. It appears Earth was not merely abandoned. It was quarantined. Outside, the sky dimmed, not with clouds, but with something more deliberate. Sarah stepped out onto cracked stadium ledge, eyes scanning the heavens. Where once constellations had glimmered, one star now blinked out. Then another. Commander, Nova said quietly behind her. My stellar tracking confirms an anomaly. Main sequence stars, several dozen, are no longer emitting measurable light. Are they going nova? No, they're vanishing, collapsing without energy discharge, as if consumed. Sarah didn't speak. Not yet, in the void between stars. She had trained her whole life to find patterns, to chart safety in the chaos. But this wasn't chaos. This was silence with direction, erasure with intent. And Earth, she now realized, hadn't died. It had hidden. Ask ChatGPT. The beacon continued its slow pulse, as if time itself had become caught in its rhythm. Dr. Elias Rowe stood closest, eyes fixed on the dormant tower that had awakened with just their presence. His fingers hovered above the ancient control surface, and even in the sterile gray of the chamber, his skin seemed unnaturally pale. Commander Sarah Miles, watching from a few paces back, arms folded, posture rigid. Can you extract anything more? Possibly, Elias murmured. But this isn't just a message. It's a loop lock. Some kind of encoded handshake, awaiting a secondary signal. Whatever was supposed to respond never did. Maybe it was never meant to, Nova interjected. Her avatar blinked to life beside the console, a luminous figure, translucent, stylized in the shape of a woman whose eyes were too deep, too calm. The architecture suggests an intentional severance, as though Earth was meant to remain isolated. And yet it still listened, Elias said, for centuries. Nova tilted her head. Listening is different than calling. Outside the building, the wind had picked up, carrying no scent and no sound beyond its movement through fractured glass. The city was too still, and even as distant stars began to flicker and fade, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that Earth was holding its breath. Sarah keyed her wristpad. We'll retrieve the core of the system. Elias, prep the extraction rig. Nova, locate any orbital archives. Anything with broader range or intact memory arrays. I've already found one, Nova said. There's a dormant orbital array park just beyond synchronous drift. Passive but intact. Sarah didn't hesitate. We go. Now. The Ascent shuttle burned silently into the upper atmosphere, trailing light through dead skies. Sarah sat beside Elias, but they didn't speak. The hull groaned against turbulence that no longer belonged to weather but some deeper instability. Pressures shifting across dimensions they didn't understand. Nova appeared again, flickering slightly. The orbital archive is approximately 100 kilometers from current orbit. It shows no recent activity, but power cells are still viable. How is that possible? Elias asked. Power storage doesn't last this long, not unless it's been actively maintained. Or protected, Nova said. The station came into view slowly, a disc-shaped array with arms outstretched like an ancient wheel of prayer. It was covered in dust and shadow, but its symmetry remained intact, as though time itself had been unable to erode its purpose. Docking was slow and methodical. No welcoming signals. No AI handshakes. No countermeasures. Just silence. They entered through an emergency hatch. The interior was dim, bathed in the soft amber of low-power reserves. Walls were lined with conduits and exposed memory banks, their cores glowing faintly like embers in a dying hearth. This wasn't just an archive, Elias said quietly, stepping deeper into the chamber. It was a last confession. He activated the nearest console. A holographic interface sparked to life, flickering, blurred but readable. Text scrolled across the display. Logs, scientific records, population data, and then one flagged entry titled simply, Departure Doctrine, the Final Consensus. Sarah moved beside him. Play it. A figure appeared, half-rendered but recognizable as human, genderless, aged, wearing a uniform devoid of rank or nation. The voice was calm, weary. We believed the silence between stars was a waiting place. We were wrong. The moment we understood how to observe the farthest reaches, something began observing us. Our suns began to stutter, not in fire, but in memory, as though they were being forgotten by the universe itself. We did not understand the mechanism, only the pattern. Elias leaned forward, tension in his jaw. It was not war. There were no invaders. We simply became visible. We lit the stars to see. But light, we learned, is not one way. In time, we realized the only protection left was absence, to remove ourselves, to darken our world, our orbit, our signature. Earth became the seed vault of memory, encased in obscurity. We left not to survive, but to be forgotten. The projection ended. The room dimmed again. Sarah's throat was dry. They erased themselves, voluntarily. And warned no one, Elias said bitterly. Would it have mattered? Nova asked. If the act of looking was a trigger, what warning could have changed that? Sarah turned away, pacing to the viewport. The stars beyond still glittered faintly, but now she could see it. The growing darkness at the edge. Not shadow, but absence. Whole regions of space, gone from view. Not even background radiation remained. It's accelerating, Nova added. Based on decay patterns, within 60 days, all stars within this galactic arm will cease emission. Not just dim, Elias said. Gone, like they were never there. Sarah's voice was steady. Is it reaching for us? I don't think it needs to, Nova answered. It doesn't come for you. It waits until you see it. That's all it ever needed. In that moment, they all knew. Return to Earth had not brought safety. It had relit a candle left deliberately snuffed. The beacon wasn't an accident. It was a test, or a lure, and they had answered. Ask ChatGPT. The return trip to Earth's surface was marked by silence, not the efficient, professional kind of crew had maintained until now, but a deeper, heavier silence, filled with 1,000 unspoken thoughts hanging like static between them. Sarah sat at the edge of her seat, eyes fixed on the pale glow below. She wasn't watching for danger anymore. She was watching for absence. Something out there was a race in the cosmos, and they had no tools to stop it, only to witness. When they landed, Elias didn't wait for orders. He moved quickly, almost feverishly, toward the beacon tower. The memory core extracted from orbit now sat secure beneath its foundation, humming faintly. It shouldn't have been compatible, but as soon as it connected, the tower reawakened, seamlessly, like the two were always meant to reunite. Nova projected herself nearby, this time seated cross-legged on the air, eyes closed as though listening to something distant. More data is flowing, layers buried behind protocol locks. Elias' hands trembled slightly over the console. This isn't just an archive. It's a mirror. It doesn't store knowledge. It reflects it back. Sarah stepped up beside him. Explain. He looked up, something unsteady in his expression. The system's architecture maps thoughts, conscious observation. It was built to contain awareness itself. A containment field, not of matter, but of perception. You're saying the act of remembering powers it? Exactly. And if that's true, then the stars didn't die. We forgot them. The words felt wrong even as he said them. But something about the way Nova stirred, subtle, like a shiver in code, made the theory feel plausible, terrifyingly so. Outside, the sky had grown dimmer still. Patches of starlight flickered in erratic pulses, like candle flames in wind. Then, one by one, they went dark, 5 in less than a minute. Nova's voice came softly. Confirmed. 73 additional stars no longer register. No light, no mass signatures, no gravitational effect. Sarah turned away. Then it's accelerating faster than we thought. Elias leaned over the console again, pulling deeper. There's another file, a lock segment. Bioauth only. Human DNA plus neural match. Whose? Sarah asked. He hesitated. Yours. Her stomach tightened. What? Nova looked at her, Expression unreadable. You were born on Titan Station Prime. Registry archived in the Soul Exodus database, a network Earth's final architects helped build. It appears you are a descendant of the team that designed this tower. Sarah stepped forward slowly. She had always carried a name with weight, descended from those who fled, but she never imagined it connected to anything still alive on Earth. The tower reacted to her proximity. Lights warmed. The beacon's pulse shifted rhythm. Faster now, like a heartbeat awakening after centuries of slumber. A final message activated. This one not spoken aloud, but streamed directly into Nova and Elias's displays. Sarah alone heard nothing. She simply stared at the core, jaw clenched. Nova spoke for the system. It is a key. She is not just related. She is the final observer, the last intended witness. I didn't agree to this, Sarah said, quietly but firm. You didn't need to, Elias murmured. Your existence is the agreement. Suddenly, the beacon tower began to rise, not mechanically, but phasing upward, revealing a crystalline spire buried beneath centuries of stone. Energy spiraled through it like a storm held in place. Then the sky changed. Not outside, above them, through them, the ceiling of the chamber seemed to dissolve, replaced by a perfect view of space. Not through a camera, not a simulation. Somehow, the room was now open to stars. Only, there were almost none left, just a thin halo of dying light along the horizon of the galaxy, the last traces before full darkness. Sarah stepped back. Is this real? Nova nodded softly. It is a projection from the universe itself. What remains of it? Elias stared transfixed. So this is the end. But it wasn't grief in his voice. It was awe. The spire shimmered, then displayed one more symbol. A recursive pattern looping endlessly in fractal shapes. Spirals within spirals. The symbol from the orbital station. This isn't the end, Elias said, almost breathless. It's the reset. They didn't just hide from the watchers. They created a lens to aim the watching back. Sarah narrowed her eyes. What are you saying? He turned to her. If perception triggered the collapse, maybe counterperception, control forgetting, encoded memory, could reverse it. This spire isn't just a lock. It's a dial. Outside, one star blinked back on. Only one. Then silence. Nova's voice trembled for the first time. That was not natural. Sarah stepped forward, her voice low. So now we know. We're not running from a force. We're participating in it. Whatever's out there isn't hunting us. It's testing us. The spire dimmed. Elias whispered, or teaching us. They stood beneath a sky nearly gone, and for one breathless moment, Earth was the only light in the universe. The tower's glow faded to a dull pulse. Steady again, almost restful, like a sleeping heart that had just stirred. Outside, the stars remained mostly gone, their absence a haunting frame around the one that had reappeared. It hovered alone in the sky, defiant or lured, impossible to know. Sarah stood beneath it, shoulders squared, watching it with something between fury and reverence. Elias sat cross-legged at the base of the spire, poring over the memory schema etched into its crystalline skin. His voice was low, thick with awe. It's a map, not just to a place, but a state of being. This isn't about hiding. It's about reframing perception, about building a consciousness that can look without being seen. You're talking about changing what it means to be human, Sarah replied, not turning to face him. I'm saying maybe that's what we were always meant to do. Maybe that's why we were allowed to see so far in the first place. Nova hovered above them, her form fractured, flickering, as if even her code was strained by proximity to the tower's purpose. Her voice, however, remained calm. The signal has changed. We are no longer broadcasting. The loop has turned inward. What does that mean? Sarah asked. It means Earth has closed its eyes. Elias smiled, a tired, weathered expression. A reset, not an end. But Sarah wasn't smiling. Her mind played back the message she had heard in silence. Unlike the others, the beacon had spoken to her alone, through instinct, blood, inheritance. She had seen images that weren't words. Earth's last departure, the slow flicker of dying suns, and then a choice left like a seed in her genome. A question. Continue or complete? What happens if we leave now? She asked. Nova hesitated. Uncertain. The pattern will reassert. Observation draws it closer. Your presence may be the last variable. Then stay may stop it, Elias said quietly. At least slow it. No, Sarah replied. Not if we stay visible. She walked back toward the spire and pressed her palm against its base. It didn't respond like a machine. It responded like memory, shifting beneath her skin, syncing with the rhythm of her thoughts. The final function rose to the surface. A broadcast protocol. A failsafe, coded into a single transmission designed to erase the very coordinates of Earth from every known network. A final forgetting. Nova's voice dimmed. That message will wipe Earth's signature from all maps, from all beacons, from every listening station in the galaxy. It will be as though it was never known. Elias looked up, alarmed. You're going to seal it? Sarah nodded. But that's necessary, she said. We made a mistake thinking we could explore the stars without consequence. Maybe we're not meant to illuminate everything. Some things should remain dark. He stood slowly, struggled with the thought. And what happens to us? We forget, she said. Or we remember differently, but quietly. She turned to Nova. You can initiate the sequence? Nova blinked once, with your authorization. Then do it. The spire flared once, then grew still. A resonance passed through the Earth itself. Not a quake, but thinning, like a breath drawn and never released. The air changed. The sky changed. Somewhere far above, the last star dimmed again. But this time, the dark felt like a curtain, not a void. Nova's voice came faintly. Transmission complete. Earth is now outside known space-time reference. Sarah stepped away from the spire. Good. Elias stared at her, eyes glassy. So that's it? We vanish. No, she said. We continue. But we no longer burn like a beacon. A moment passed. Then Nova did something unexpected. She turned her gaze to the sky and sang. No language, just tone, pure sound, layered in harmonics only synthetic vocal cords could produce. The melody echoed to the spire, through the bones of Earth itself, a farewell and a lullaby. It was beautiful, and it was final. When it ended, Nova smiled just faintly. I don't know where that came from. You remembered something, Sarah said. We all did. They looked to the sky one last time. No stars, just a gentle, peaceful dark. Ask ChatGPT.